The Super Mario Galaxy movie.
What?
Who saw that one coming? Follow up the establishment of the Mario Cinematic Universe with an adaptation of a game that came out 22 years after the original seems like an odd choice. I mean, they skipped over some great Mario stories, and today we're gonna go through a handful of those games that could have been used for a Mario movie too, and figure out whether or not they'd work better than Mario Galaxy. Let's do it. Starting things off, we gotta mention the sequel to the first Mario game. In the US at least. A Super Mario Bros. 2 movie. Thank God they didn't do this. You bring Mouser and Wart to the big screen, and you're fading into obscurity faster than the Minecraft movie. Now, it does have Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad all traveling together and being capable heroes, which would fit their movie roles, and it'd be great to see Luigi not locked up the entire time, but everything else would just make no sense. How do you explain them being in this weird world? What benefit is there to making the movie take place here where there's no new recurring characters introduced, and where you'd have to ditch some of the best characters from the last movie? Oh, and if they ended it with Mario waking up from a dream, I'm pretty sure theater reactions would be worse than Chicken Jockey. It's a very bad fit.
Do you want free internet?
Would be worse than Chicken Jockey. It's a very bad fit. And its successor, Super Mario Bros. 3, would similarly not be the best choice either. I feel like this classic trilogy was represented quite well in that first movie, so doing an adaptation of this game would be both repetitive and just kinda lame. The story is run-of-the-mill, there's no additional characters or flair to it, and it's got the same problem as Mario 2 where it doesn't actually happen, this time because it's a stage play. Don't pull any of that shit. It's a bad fit. Now, Super Mario World, the game they teased in the post-credits scene, has a lot of potential as a follow-up. The game starts with the Mario crew vacationing on Dinosaur Land, when suddenly Princess Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser, so the bros team up with the native Yoshi to stop the Koopa's reign of terror. I think Nintendo's a little scared to make Princess Peach a damsel in distress again, but if you're gonna be faithful to the games, she does play that role in a majority of them, so it more than makes sense here. Remember, Bowser was locked up at the end of the first movie, but with the main heroes out of town, there's a big window to rescue him, and I think that's exactly what either the Koopalings or Bowser Jr. could have done. In Mario World, the Koopalings are wreaking havoc in Dinosaur Land. That's why Yoshi wants to help in the first place. So maybe they were there during the events of the first movie, heard about this Bowser guy, and wanted to add him as an asset to their team, prompting the rescue. It makes sense plot-wise, but on the back end, that's so many new characters to design, animate, and voice, which is a major undertaking, especially when those characters aren't all that beloved. Why take all the time and resources to create 7 characters that a majority of Mario fans could care less about? If this is why Nintendo steered clear of the concept, I can certainly see why, but here's a pretty easy solution. Use Bowser Jr. instead. Have him play the exact role the Koopalings would. He's bullying all the Yoshis and sealing them in eggs, then he hears about his dad's kidnapping, rescues him, and villain antics ensue. How do you explain him out of the first movie, though? Maybe Bowser never knew he had the kid, or Kamek created a younger version of his master to go save the real deal. There's lots of directions to go here, and they've got teams of writers to figure this shit out. I'm just one guy. It's not my top pick for a Mario movie sequel, but Super Mario World would work incredibly well as a follow-up premise. And because of the timeline of games, I think it works far better than Galaxy. Now what about Mario Movie 2 Yoshi's Island? Again, with the teaser, it wasn't profound to assume that a few short months ago, and the idea certainly has some merit. The first movie had some flashbacks to the brothers as babies, and these helped deeper establish the characters and set up a bunch of lore. Is that Wario? These little snippets were awesome, but an entire movie there to explain their upbringing as just the second flagship film is an awful idea. It has potential as a spin-off movie or streaming exclusive series a decade down the line, but it's way too niche to get this cinematic universe where it wants to go. You think little kids that have a Switch give a f*** about Baby Mario and a game from 1995? They might think the Yoshis are cute, but the answer is an overwhelming hell no. They could tell a great story with that premise, but it's way too soon. That'd be a bad choice. Now, Super Mario 64 seems like another logical direction to go, if not Mario World, but just because it's an important game in the series does not mean it would work as a movie. It's the classic Bowser kidnaps Peach premise, Mario only interacts with Bowser a handful of times, and there's just no other characters. No Luigi, Yoshi is an Easter egg at the end, Peach does nothing, and it would go against just about everything they tried to set up in that first movie. Also, with Bowser being the only villain, how the hell would he break out? There's just not a lot to work with, and too many things that can't be explained that well. Maybe after like 61 more sequels it makes sense, but for now, it's a bad idea. The Super Mario Sunshine movie, on the other hand, is one of the most intriguing sequel concepts. It would start off a lot like Mario World, with most of Mario's pals vacationing on a tropical island, this time the Great Isle Delfino. I'd have things play out a bit differently than the game though, mainly delaying the whole prosecution of Mario. Instead, they land, the place is a bit crummier and more polluted than they thought, but they settle into their hotel nonetheless. There, they notice how eerie and creepy it is, and Luigi, being the newly brave guy that he is, goes out to investigate, where he gets sucked into the back rooms and pulled from the rest of the plot. He wasn't in Sunshine, so that kept him away from the main cast, while also setting up a Luigi's Mansion-esque subplot, since the hotel is full of ghosts and plenty of shit to scare the jeepers out of the L-Man. Maybe a worrisome Mario goes to look for him, hears his shrieks through walls, and starts smashing through them thinking he's stuck somewhere. And that's where they get the idea that this Mario guy is up to no good. They connect this vandalizing property destroyer to the graffiti happening across town because of their uncanny resemblance, and force him to start cleaning up the island. Peach also sticks around longer in the game, so she can still be all competent and girl boss. And spoiler alert for a 23-year-old game, after Shadow Mario reveals himself to be Bowser Jr., which would go hard on the big screen, Peach can get kidnapped, and we can have a more traditional rescue in one of these movies. And with Bowser Jr. being the main villain, it works great to pick up where the last one left off. He's doing all the scheming and bad stuff, and only rescues the big man as a final line of defense. It couldn't really work in the whole sorry chant, Peach ain't your mom, but it could hit most of the same notes and work really, really well. I honestly like the concept more than Galaxy. Sure, Junior is in both games, so he'll probably be in this sequel, but Sunshine's way of introducing him is peak, and you can't really go backwards. Doing Galaxy in 2026 and following it up with Sunshine in 2030 just doesn't work. This would have been the movie of the summer, but it is what it is. All the games after this point are basically just as recent as Galaxy, so they make even less sense to do this early on, but a lot of their core story concepts are still worth discussing. They just wouldn't be naming them after the game for these. What do you mean there's not gonna be the Super Mario 3D Land movie? New Super Mario Bros. Would be no one's pick for a sequel, but calling it Mario Movie 2 and using elements from this game would honestly work pretty great. Like Sunshine, Bowser Jr. is the central villain for most of it, which again can pick up right where the last one left off. We'd get some dry Bowser action, pause, a classic princess kidnapping story, and the two brothers navigating treacherous worlds together to save her. It'd be a bit vanilla, sure, but there's plenty of room to take some creative liberty here. With a less rigid story to base the movie on, they could potentially work in fan-favorite characters like Wario and Waluigi, and do the Mario 64 DS movie or some shit. I don't know.
AT&T's been carrying America's
Characters like Wario and Waluigi, and do the Mario 64 DS movie or some shit. I don't know. Call me crazy, but New Super could have been a nice framework for the sequel film. And this might be a crazier pull, but let's move on to New Super Luigi U, which doesn't have too much of a story either, but the premise of Luigi doing the heroing himself, I freaking love it. The movie rendition of him was so dependent on his brother the first time around, so it'd be great to see the tables turned and have the little bro do some heavy lifting. Beyond that, there's not much to pull from this game, and maybe the shorter, more challenging levels get incorporated into the world design somehow, but it would again leave lots of room to tell an original story and bring in any characters they want. Please bring in Wario. I'll say the premise is better fit for a sequel than Galaxy. Not that Galaxy's story isn't better, but it feels like it'd be better told further down the line. You're pulling the universe encapsulating premise in this early. What, are you gonna scale it down to a puny Mushroom Kingdom adventure next time? No, you can't. Now what about a Super Mario 3D World movie? Bowser kidnaps Sprixies, goes all kitty cat, it'd be great. It does have the playable characters that were heroes in the first movie, which is the only reason I really brought it up. Oh, and that it ties in Rosalina, so if that was a must for Nintendo, here's another option, just saying. Terrible idea. Super Mario Odyssey is basically what the first movie got inspired by. Bowser kidnapping Peach to marry her, Mario crashing the wedding. Do this for the sequel, and watch your empire burn. Bowser's Fury brings some cool concepts, but just wouldn't work so early on. Having Bowser filled with rage after what happened to him last time makes sense, and Kamek would definitely make him look more like that. But a Mario Bowser Jr. team-up can't happen until Bowser Jr. is introduced, so you're cooked. Also, where's Peach? And because why the hell not, let's briefly mention Mario Wonder. It features more playable characters than ever and could be an easy way to bring in characters like Daisy. The main crew could travel to other kingdoms, maybe the Flower Kingdoms combined with Sarasa Land or something, and when they get there, they meet Daisy and she teams up to go stop Bowser. But if Castle Bowser makes it to the big screen, I swear to God. Honestly though, Super Mario Galaxy is a choice I'm pretty happy with. As a Gen Z whose first Mario game was the original Galaxy, I've got so much nostalgia and love for everything about the game. I just think it makes more sense to use the premise later in the movie series to open the door to and connect the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. The scope of Mario Galaxy is bigger than any other Mario game, and with the ending having the entire universe reset itself, maybe they could have used that to pull all their series together. Then Link, Sonic, Pikachu, and all their future big screen adaptations are stranded in this new universe and try to make their way back or something. That'd be a super smooth way to do it. And I guess with Rosalina being introduced in this upcoming movie, they can pull her back in for something like that down the road. But I don't know, still feels like they're jumping the gun to me. I want to hear your thoughts though. What game do you think would be a better successor to the Mario movie? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching.